Okay, so welcome to part 4 of Ho Ho Ho, and I've just got started just like I did with part 2. I've done the first section, which is chart 2, which we originally did in part 1, if you remember. So I've got started with that and just using exactly the same as we did in part 2, using a CC1 colour for the foundation row and row 1 and row 3. And then this second from last row, I can't remember what the number was, but okay, so we for the little accents there. Now what you should see from the chart and the written instructions is a little note saying about row 1. I've included a row 1 on the chart, which you won't need if you are following the cal exactly as it is, whether you're making the placemat or the blanket, because we've already got our last row of our previous pattern was made in the MC colour, your background colour. So because of that, we don't need an extra MC colour to start chart 7. I put it in there in case you do want to do some snowmen totally independently, because then you will need that row. Okay, so as I said, I've done chart 2. I have skipped row 1 and I've now just done my row 2 of chart 7, which is just a plain back loop double crochets in our CC3 colour. Okay, obviously with the edge stitch and the chain at each end. Okay, you'll also probably notice that I've just popped a couple of markers in. So again, just like I did in part 2, because the snowmen are a 24 stitch repeat, and each of these little patterns was 12, basically I've just popped a marker in there that lines up with every second sort of middle stitch here. So it'll be the 6th, I've put it in the 6th of my MC stitches there. I haven't put it on the row above because I learned from last time we're actually going to be working into that, so it's easier if it's just in that row. Okay, so we shouldn't, that's just a little double check to make sure when we're going along with our repeat that our repeats end in the marked stitches. Okay, so I've got started with my edge stitch and the chain. I'm now just going to do one front loop treble before the repeat actually starts. This is our sort of extra little stitch that balances out the pattern. Okay, so now our repeat starts with 5 more front loop trebles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And actually what I should have mentioned before I carry on with this repeat is actually, because I'm doing the placemats, so obviously I've got this little chart 2 here. If you were doing the blanket, you would actually now be working on top of a row of holly sprigs, but that's okay, because basically the repeat for the holly sprigs and chart 2 is exactly the same. So where we've just got these little plain dots here, if you're doing the blanket, you'll actually have a holly berry, so one of the puff stitches, and so you'll be lining up your marker between the holly sprigs, every second holly sprig. Okay, but the principle is exactly the same. Right, so carrying on with row 3, after I've now done my first 5 trebles of the repeat, now got little square brackets. We've got a little run of 1 back loop double crochet, 1 front loop treble. I'm going to do that 6 times, so that's 1, 2, 5, and 6. Then we've got 1 more back loop double crochet, and another check that you've got your stitch counts right is remember, these are either these little stitches here or they may be holly berries, depending on whether you're making the placemat or the blanket, but your first and last back loop double crochet of this little run will always be above those berries or the little stitch there. Okay, so we're now going to end our repeat with 6 front loop trebles. 2, 3, 4, 5, and fabulous, the 6th one's in that marked stitch exactly where it should be. Okay, so you're now ready to just start again with 5 more front loop trebles and then this little run of stitches there like so. So carry on and do that. You can do row 4 as well, because that's just another plain row in our CC3 colour, and I will see you for row 5. Right, so I've now just got started on row 5 with my edge stitch chain and then the front loop treble before the repeat starts. So our repeat on this row starts with 7 back loop double crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then we've got 9 front loop trebles, so this is going to be the start of our snowman. 2, 8, 9. Okay, so you can see that hopefully that those 9 trebles are lined up centrally across our little back loop double crochet front loop treble little run that we did on the previous sort of couple of rows down. Okay, so now we've got another 7 back loop double crochets, 2, 3, 4, and 7, and we end our repeat with a front loop treble into our marked stitch there. Okay, so that's going to be the little tree between the snowmen. So there we are, that is your repeat. So just carry on along the row and do that, and then I'll see you for row 6. Okay, I've just now got started on row 6 with the edge stitch chain and a back loop double crochet before the repeat starts. So we now start with 3 more back loop double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Then we've got 2 front loop trebles. 1, 2, and now 13 back loop double crochet. So Santa, the snowman's getting a little bit rounder. That's where the stitches for him are going to go on the next row. 12, 13. Then we've got 2 front loop trebles. 1, 2. And our repeat ends with 4 back loop double crochets. 1, 2, whoops, 2, 3, and lovely, the 4th one, when I can get that last little strand there. Yeah, the 4th one is in our marked stitch there. Okay, so you are now ready to start again with 3 more back loop double crochets. So repeat that across. You can do row 7 as well, because for that we are basically doing back loop double crochets. Well, it's mainly front loop trebles actually, because we're going to be doing front loop trebles to fill in there for our snowmen, and we've also got to just remember to do one in the middle of our tree for our tree trunk there. So, and all the others will be back loop double crochets. Okay, so carry on and do that, and I will see you for row 8. Right, so I've now just got started on row 8 with my edge stitch chain and the back loop double crochet before the repeat. So for this repeat we're now going to start with 2 more back loop double crochets. 1, 2, then 2 front loop trebles. 2. Then we've got 7 back loop double crochets. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, and now just like we've done before with Santa's nose and the holly berries, we're now going to do a puff for the button. So Santa's Santa, I keep calling him Santa. Snowman has got they've got buttons down the front, so they're going to be done with puffs again. So just a little reminder about how you do the puff. Remember, it's still working into just the back loop. Yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, and you do that basically 3 times. So that was 1, 2, 3. Yarn over and pull through all 7 of those loops. And then we just carry straight on with 7 more back loop double crochets. 2, 3, 6, 7. Then we've got 2 front loop trebles, and we're going to end or repeat with 3 back loop double crochets. Oops. 1, 2, and the third one in our marked stitch. Okay, so carry on and do that. I will come back and I will show you row 9, just so as another little reminder about how we make these puffs a little stand out a little bit more. Okay, so I've just got started on row 9 with little bits and pieces before the main repeat starts. So we're going to start our repeat here with 4 back loop double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we've got 7 front loop trebles. 2, 5, 6, 7, and that takes us up to our puff that we just did on the previous row. So as always, when you see the puffs, what you need to do is a little front post double crochet around it, or a raised double crochet to the front. So I'm just inserting my hook around the post of that puff, like so. Oops, and then just doing my double crochet there, and then see that just makes that puff pop forward. So now we've got 7 more front loop trebles. 2, 3, 6, 7, 7. There we go. Then 5 back loop double crochets. 1, 2, or indeed 4. 4 back loop double crochets. And then our final stitch of our repeat goes into our marked stitch down there. Okay. So now you're ready to start again with 4 more back loop double crochets.